Colorado's gearing up to play CSU.
Yeah, CU is getting ready for its home opener.
Sports Mag up now. A little bit. Hi, and welcome to Sports Mag. I'm Rose Heafy, sitting alongside Audie Streetman. Well, this week we had a really exciting week of football, and so we played Cal.
Yeah, that's right. CU got ready for its home opener this past weekend. If we take a look at some of our highlights, you can see that second defensive back Greg Henderson some last-minute tips. CU's going for a big 4th and 1. Rodney Stewart goes for it, but no gain. That's 13 plays, 66 yards, and no points for CU. And now it's Cal's turn. Quarterback Zach Maynard to sophomore wide receiver Keenan Allen for 20 yards on the first down. Cal's looking to extend the drive, but Maynard would be picked off by running back John Major at the Colorado's 39. Hansen completes to Rodney Stewart for 17 yards after a 5-yard false start, but the Buffs would have to settle for a 27-yard field goal by Will Oliver. And then later on, you can tell after our field goal, we saw a former basketball star, Alec Burks. He was honored for being picked by the Utah Jazz after the first quarter of the game. And then you see Will Oliver again with the golden foot. He makes a 52-yard field goal. Maynard connects to Anthony Miller for a 7-yard touchdown, score 15-6 Cal.
All right, the Buffs, they are down, and here we're going to fast forward to the third quarter. 23-13, Cal in the lead. Hansen finds Paul Richardson for a 66-yard touchdown. Richardson would break the school receiving yards record in a single game, 11 catches for 282 yards. Cal on the move, Maynard takes it on his own hands for a 4-yard rush for the first down. Maynard then connects to Keenan Allen for a 3-yard pass to the Cal 36. Maynard's next target is Michael Calvin for a gain of 16 yards. But it would be Cal running back C.J. Anderson who would get on the board for Berkeley with a 20-yard touchdown. Here right now, Cal would take the lead 30-27, giving the Bears something to cheer about in the end zone. Looking to regain the lead, CU's quarterback Tyler Hansen, he would connect to the budding star Paul Richardson for a key first down. Senior tailback Rodney Stewart brings it to the Cal 14, but hold up, folks. A holding call on offensive lineman Ryan Miller would bring this back. The Buffs would have to settle yet again with a 32-yard field goal. This game is going to overtime. CU has the first crack in OT. Hansen tries to reach Richardson for the TD, but it's broken up by Cal's Steve Williams. The reliable Oliver adds 3 points for the Buffs with a 30-yard kick. But in the end, it would prove not to be enough for the Buffs. Maynard makes a sibling connection to his half-brother Allen for the 5-yard TD. Cal is victorious, winning 36-33 in overtime. Paul Richardson had a record-breaking day. Once again, 284 yards, 11 receptions, and Tyler Hansen making those passes, 474 yards. Quite a standout day, but can't forget Zach Maynard with 243 yards, averaging 6.9 yards a pass. Pretty stellar day all around. Hopefully next time CU will pull out the win.
It seems as if Colorado State fans have found something better to do this Saturday than attend the Rocky Mountain Showdown. CSU has sold over half of their allotted tickets for this weekend's game. In their Buffs corner, the black and gold will be well represented as CU has sold nearly all of theirs, some 36,000 already. The small crowd could be attributed to both teams' lack of production the past few seasons. Regardless of the crowd size, the Buffaloes know this game is a must-win heading to Ohio State next weekend.
For the entirety of the 2010 season, the Colorado men's golf team took a backseat to the ladies' team, but one tournament into the 2011 season, and the guys are back. The Buffs won their first tournament in 3 years by taking the Home Simpson Invitational title. In his first tournament with CU, junior transfer Bo Schoolcraft shot a school record 11 under par, winning the tournament. The home course treated Colorado well as every Buff golfer finished under par. CU ended up beating a hot New Mexico team by 5 strokes. The Buffs play at Air Force Academy before taking on CSU in the Colorado Cup.
Now it's time to get online and have your voices heard. The first ever Sports Mag poll question is about the Rocky Mountain Showdown against in-state rival CSU. Here's the question. What is your favorite part of the Colorado versus Colorado State rivalry? Is it 1, the tailgating, 2, the smack talking, or 3, the actual game? We'll see what you said in next week's show.
All right, well, don't go anywhere. Double Team will break down the Rocky Mountain Showdown next.
And we'll take a look at how Colorado football players are gearing up for the rivalry game. Stay tuned.
Help wanted. Immediate openings available. For the most important jobs in America, helping the organizations that help children. Whatever you can do, in whatever time you have, you can make a difference. To learn how you can help in your community, reach us at this web address and number. We're fighting for the children. Whose side are you on?
Change. It's coming faster. Only those with high-tech skills will excel.
Power, spear 1-1, holding short of 1-6.
I'm getting those skills now in the Air Force. It's giving me powerful tools, education, training, and experience. With Air Force skills, I can keep up with tomorrow's changes, and so can you.
Listen to me just a second. We don't want to be at your party any more than you want us here.
What could we have done to avoid this?
Keep the noise down so no one complains.
Hey, guys, keep it down. The neighbors are complaining.
Make sure anyone drinking alcohol is at least 21.
You sure you're old enough?
And finally, make sure that you don't have too many people.
Man, that would have been easy. I wish I had known the rules. Now you know. Avoid trouble. Know the rules.
Don't you love that safe, free feeling you get in a pickup truck, Larry?
Yeah, nothing but you, me, the open road, a deer.
Yeah! A cow! Yeah! An ostrich! The village people!
The village people?
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Especially in pickup trucks.
I didn't know the village people were doing a road tour.
For the first time since 1939, Colorado will enter the Rocky Mountain Showdown with an 0-2 record. Luke Rosenmeyer and Andrew Tomasini at the double team desk today, getting you set for this weekend's matchup versus CSU. But before we go any further, let's talk about the first 2 weeks of the season. Some positives and negatives coming out of the 2 games versus Cal and Hawaii. Paul Richardson looked great. Talk about the wide receiver position.
I mean, the wide receiver position really is Paul Richardson at this point. You know, he's put up 14 catches for 333 yards and 4 touchdowns through 2 games. That accounts for nearly half of the receiving yards and 4 out of 5 receiving touchdowns. That might be a problem later on down the road when defenses start to key on him. But for right now, he's just lighting it up against Cal. You saw, I mean, he got the ball, one move, he was gone. I mean, they could not touch him.
Absolutely. And I think, obviously, when you look at the wide receiver position as well, you've got to wonder where the production's coming from Tony Clemens. It hasn't been there this year. They're going to need him to step it up. But I think another positive, outlook in terms of the things that Colorado has done well thus far would probably be at the defensive end with Doug Rippey and a cast of others. Talk about that a little bit as well.
I think Doug Rippey's been flying all over the place. He seems to be, I'm hearing his name called on every play. He's around the ball, if not making the tackle himself. He's got 21 tackles leading the team through 2 games, also a sack and a half. It really seems to me that he's playing hungry. He's playing fast, he's running downhill, and he's seeing the game really clearly, and he's just, making tackles.
Absolutely, and I think another thing that you have to look about in terms of a positive for Colorado is the kicking game. Now, where has that been the past couple years? Eric Goodman was kind of that scapegoat for the Colorado offense, but Will Oliver, the freshman, has put forth a fantastic performance thus far in the first 2 weeks. How has he done it?
I mean, fantastic is almost an understatement. He's perfect. He hasn't missed a field goal, 5 for 5 through 2 games. They even jogged him out there to do a 52-yarder against Cal, and he just nailed it. And then again, a shorter field goal, the 32-yarder to send it to overtime. He's a freshman. Hitting that field goal, if he misses that, that's game over. That is not an easy kick to make. And then as well, giving the Buffs the lead in overtime, 33-30 on that field goal. Unfortunately, they weren't able to hold on.
Well, obviously we're 0-2, so not everything can be peaches. What's wrong with Colorado in terms of the negative aspects in terms of the first 2 weeks? Give me something to look forward to here.
I think the number one thing you have to look at is the running game. Coach Embry, Coach Bieniemy came in here. They wanted to install a physical mentality in this team. They wanted to become a running team. We've got the pro-style offense. That just hasn't been there in the first couple of games. Tyler Hansen put up 500 yards of offense against Cal. Rodney Stewart only averaging 3 yards a carry. No touchdowns through the first 2 games, and he's the only running back to even get a handoff so far.
Absolutely. Rodney's kind of struggled a little bit, but I think when you look at the running back position for Colorado and why it hasn't been productive, I think you can look directly to the offensive line. Obviously, we've had injuries with Bakhtiari, Danowitz, who filled in for Bakhtiari, and Harris now, who broke his leg on Saturday versus Cal. So the offensive line is going to have to step it up. They've struggled, but they've had some injuries here and there, so we'll kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. Any other areas negatively that have kind of caught your eye so far?
Penalties, big time. Penalties and mental mistakes. We've got 19 penalties for 156 yards through 2 games. You're essentially taking a touchdown off the board with 10 penalties nearly in between 2 games. And then also 8 for 29 on third down. That's why they call it the money down. You need to make those third down conversions, especially at the end of games, clutch, even the 4th down conversion against Cal that we didn't get. It's really just about having that mentality, we're going to go out there and get it done, and I just don't think they're there yet.
So let's look to Saturday's game, and obviously that's going to be the showdown at, Sports Authority Field at Mile High versus CSU. What do you kind of look for when, we head there Saturday? What's this matchup going to be like? Because obviously Colorado State comes into the game 2-0. They beat UNC and New Mexico in their first game 14-0. What is Colorado going to have to do to stop the Rams? Obviously they're 2-0, so they're going to have to do something good.
I mean, that 2-0 needs to come with a grain of salt. You look at the caliber of opponents they're playing. They beat New Mexico State and University of Northern Colorado. That's nowhere near Hawaii and Cal in terms of the quality of the opponent. But still, they won 2 games. We lost 2 games. However, I really think, although they'll be on a high, I almost think we're going to come out and stomp them. We're favored by 10 points. The team is motivated. They're 0-2. It's Colorado State. They know they've got to go to the Horseshoe next weekend. You don't want to play Ohio State at 0-3. I think you're going to see a completely different Colorado team this Saturday. They're going to come out fast and physical, and I could see us building a big first-half lead.
Now, I completely agree, and you heard head coach John Embry say it this week. You heard Tyler Hansen say it this week. It's a must-win game this Saturday in Denver versus Colorado State. The one thing that I'm worried about, and we talked about it before when we talked about the negative aspects of CU's start here, is the offensive line. They're going to have to play really well versus CSU because they have one guy up front, Terry and Austin, 4 forced fumbles on 4 sacks versus New Mexico. They're going to have their hands full with this guy. Are there any other skill position players and or just anyone on the roster that's kind of in your mind, he's got to be there. He's got to, put forth a huge effort. Who's going to have a big day, I guess?
I'm really looking for a production from the other wide receivers. CSU saw what Paul Richardson did. They're definitely going to key on him. I want to see Logan Gray make some catches. I want to see Tyler McCullough make some catches, Ryan Dehan even, and Tony Clemens. They need to be able to make plays in the passing game so that Paul Richardson doesn't get all the attention.
Well, hopefully John Embry and the rest of the Buffs can take care of business on Saturday, get that first win under their belt, and then head to Columbus, which will be a very tough matchup the following weekend. For Luke Rosemeyer, I'm Andrew Tomasini. Let's send it back to the desk.
Guys, this Saturday marks the 83rd meeting in the heavily anticipated Rocky Mountain Showdown. The Rams, who own a spotless record on the season, will not be feeling sorry for the Buffs, who are coming in with a winless record. Audie Streetman has more on the intense matchup.
The first win of the John Embry era in CU football isn't going to come easy. Maybe a change of venue may help. The Buffaloes have lost in Hawaii and at Folsom Field, but now take their quest for a win to a neutral site in Denver. CU's northern neighbor CSU enters the weekend 2-0, winning against both New Mexico and Northern Colorado. And this season, the coaching on both sides of the field is deeply woven into the rivalry. The respective head coaches, CSU's Steve Fairchild and CU's John Embry, both played for the teams they now coach.
It's a big game because we're 0-2. It means we have to win. We need to find a way to try to get a victory.
When the Buffs and Rams knock heads at Sports Authority Field in Denver on Saturday, it'll be just the third time in 15 years that the game isn't a home opener for CU. But as far as the players are concerned, it really doesn't matter on which week the game falls. That said, senior tailback Brian Lockridge admits he and other Buffs may have a little more competitive juice flowing for the Rams this year.
It's a big rivalry. It's always been like that for a couple decades now, and they come to play us real hard. They're a good team when they play us, and it's a rivalry that we have to uphold. And last year going out, and hopefully we can compete.
For Embry and many players, the CSU rivalry stands on its own merits for what it is, an in-state duel between squads a mere 45 miles apart. Audie Streetman, CU Sports Mag.
Former top offensive tackle prospect Sione Tao is finally getting his chance to play. The fifth-year senior played his first college career game this season against Hawaii. The Buffs recruited Tao in 2007 from Hawaii, but a series of obstacles would interfere with his playing time. Tao redshirted his freshman year and as a sophomore was ruled academically ineligible. He then sat out the 2009 season after breaking an undisclosed team rule. Last season, he served as the left tackle backup to first-round draft pick Nate Solder. Coach John Embry said Tao will likely play in the CSU game.
Have you ever had that feeling when you know someone's face but can't remember their name? It's just sitting on the top of your tongue, especially when it's one of your favorite Buff football players. Well, Alexis Perry went on campus to see if students could match names to these familiar faces.
Hello, this is Alexis Perry outside the Norland Library on the beautiful Colorado campus, asking students this week if they could put the names to the faces of Colorado's most well-known football players.
First one, offensive lineman, has to be, he's pretty big. Ryan Miller, I'd have to say.
He looks like a big baby, though. You seen this guy?
That is... no...
He looks speedy. Is it Rodney Stewart? It's not Rodney Stewart? Wow.
Don't know number 2.
Paul something. Rodney Stewart? Looks really serious.
Okay, this guy's Rodney Stewart.
No.
Rodney Stewart. Rodney Stewart. No. Yeah. And this one, John something? John Stewart or something?
I don't know.
He's the QB, but I can't remember his name worth the life of me right now.
That is Tyler Hansen.
It seems like it doesn't matter how well known their name is. Many students would walk past these athletes every day not knowing who they are. What people need to realize is these guys are more than just a number on the field. They're the ones representing CU in this year's 2011 Pac-12 season. Alexis Perry, CU Sports Mag.
The Buffs and Rams will both have to travel to Denver to play some football this weekend, but this matchup hasn't always been held at Mile High Stadium. And that brings us to this week's trivia question. When did the Rocky Mountain Showdown move to Denver? Think that over and we'll have that answer later in the show.
Stay tuned as we welcome a fellow Pac-12 school, the Oregon State Beavers.
And the Buffs volleyball team got their first taste of conference action against Utah. Stay tuned.
That's right. Do I look like a commingled contender to you? All I want is newspaper.
Why don't you bring that bottle over here? I won't be spitting it back at you.
Alright, boy, why don't you bring that bottle over here to commingle so these boys stop bickering and ruin my night.
you pass the salt, Dad?
Salt is to pepper as gregarious is to...
Oh, no, not more SAT questions.
In ancient Rome, salt was a form of currency. True or false?
False.
True.
Son, can you locate sodium?
Or chloride?
There are tons of ways to help with your kids' learning. Find the really good ones on connectforkids.org.
You have 3.5 grams of salt and a 5-gram slug. What's the rate of shrivel?
In America, you are not required to offer food to the hungry or shelter to the homeless. There is no ordinance forcing you to visit the lonely. In fact, nowhere in the Constitution does it say you have to provide anything for anybody. Thank you for all you've given. Imagine what more could do.
The Buffs volleyball team is the first team to open up conference play against fellow Pac-12 newcomer Utah. They are looking to make their mark in the new Pac-12 this season. CU started off strong in the first set, leading 6-3, but soon found trouble with the tough Utah offense. While Utah maintained the dominant hand on the match, the Buffs proved never to be far behind. Throughout the night, there were 25 ties and 8 lead changes. Junior Kara Schrader led the Buffs with 13 kills. 2 Utes scored in double figures on the night. Morgan O'Dale and Chelsea Schofield each recorded 11 kills. The Buffs looked to prevent a sweep, but the miscues caught up with CU. They lost the third set and the match 0-3. The players said they were disappointed in their play and they need to play better against other conference opponents.
Play well enough to beat them, and we all kind of have to bring our A game, and we didn't bring it.
Disappointed, very disappointed. That's a team that we're capable of beating. Obviously, you don't want to start off your conference season, much less an inaugural season like this. We don't want to start off on this note, but we will do something positive with this. We take this disappointment, this anger, this frustration, and we turn it into something that's actually really productive and really good.
On the newest competitors for the Buffs in the Pac-12 Conference. Last week we showed you California. This week it's Oregon State. Sports Mag's own David LaRose gives us the inside scoop on the Beavers.
Oregon State is located in Corvallis, Oregon, and as one of our new Pac-12 Conference opponents, we take an in-depth look at the Beavers. The boys from Corvallis already had their first taste of Boulder last year in basketball, losing to the Buffs at the Coors Event Center. However, CU's football team will have to wait till next season to visit the Northwest. Oregon State is the only team in the Pac-12 that Colorado does not play this year in football. However, head coach Mike Riley has still taken notice of John Embry and the Buffs, even resembling the same style of play.
Our identity, I think, has been basically to be a kind of a blue-collar team. We're going to come and try to punch you in the mouth and play hard football and try to be a very smart football team. That's our goal anyway.
Coach Riley believes that Colorado will be a welcome addition to the Pac-12.
You're looking at a school like Colorado, new coach, and a tremendous amount of potential.
Oregon State came into the season with a lot of potential themselves, but haven't quite put it all together yet. They lost to an FBS team in Sacramento State, then got hammered on the road by number 8 Wisconsin 35-0. Colorado and Oregon State have gotten off to slow starts, but look for John Embry and Mike Riley's teams to return to their proud traditions and make a run for the Roses in their near future. David LaRose, CU Sports Mag.
Last year, the women's golf team surprised many teams in the college ranks, including probably themselves. This time around, there will be no sneaking up on people for the Buffs. In their first tournament of the year, Colorado continued where they left off from a year ago. Senior Emily Talley and sophomore Jenny Coleman tied for 5th place at the Ptarmigan Ram Fall Classic. 2 players in the top 5 were enough to contend for the title, but they fell to UC Davis by just 2 strokes at the end of the tournament. The Buffs get 2 weeks of rest before they tee it up again in New Mexico at the end of September.
Seal Berry is a legend. She spent 22 years on the Buffs bench racking up wins, and now she's coaching for the red, white, and blue. She will be leading the U.S. women's basketball team in the 2011 Pan American Games. This is Berry's 5th USA basketball coaching assignment. She also helped win the U.S. gold medal in the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta. Her success has extended off the court since her retirement in 2005. She works as a color commentator for local broadcasts and is working as an assistant athletic director for Colorado. This is her first time back on the bench in 6 years, as the team is set to compete in Guadalajara, Mexico in late October. All right, well, we're not done just yet. Coming up after the break, we'll tell you about one player that's focusing on grades instead of X's and O's.
And the women's soccer team looks to continue their supremacy in the Mile High State.
A mi Juan le cuesta mucho hacer la tarea. ¿Cómo puedo ayudar? By coming here, you're already helping. Teachers have a lot to learn from parents.
Dice que ya con venir aquí estás ayudando, que los maestros tienen mucho que aprender de ti.
By the way, he's been a little mischievous lately.
Dice que me porto requete bien.
Juan.
Hables inglés o no, debes participar en la educación de tu hijo. Aprende cómo llamando.
Only you
can prevent forest fire. And it's true. We know we can count on you to do what Sophie says.
drown your campfires with water. Make sure it's totally wet. Then stir and drown again.
We know we can count on you to do what Sophie says.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
The women's soccer team won the Colorado Cup earlier this month on aggregate goals. They didn't have to play Denver University in the tournament, but they got the chance to solidify their spot as the state's best on Sunday at Prentup Field. The game Sunday was played with some heavy heart and flags at half-mast in remembrance of 9/11. Amy Barzik and the Buffs played from behind nearly the entire game as the Pioneers scored early in the first half. Colorado had to force the issue, pushing the ball and trying to get down the equalizer as time dwindled down. In one of her last games in black and gold, senior Kate Russell kept the Buffs moving forward and attacking. This aggressive strategy left CU vulnerable in the back, but the defensive stayed strong, keeping the advantage only for DU. The Buffs just couldn't find the back of the Pioneers' net, losing the game and moving on to 2-4 with conference play to come. Tad Boyle has suffered a huge loss and the season has yet to start. 6'7" forward Damian Kane has decided to focus on school rather than play basketball this year for the Buffaloes. Kane feels that this is the best decision for him going forward and pursuing his college degree, instead of having all the demands of being a collegiate player. Kane is one of the 3 recruits in this year's class, all of which are from Southern California. Kane was ranked 37th basketball recruit out of high school according to ESPNU rankings.
We now come to the trivia answer, and your Magic 8 Ball can't help you anymore. To refresh you what the question was, one more time, it was, when did the Rocky Mountain Showdown move to Denver? And the answer is 1998. The Buffs beat the Rams that day 42-14 in the first ever Rocky Mountain Showdown at Mile High. Let's hope this game resembles that one.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and check out our website, cusportsmag.com, for all your Buff athletic information.
All right, that looks like that's all we had for today's show. So hopefully we'll see you next week, and hopefully you get to watch the Buffs beat those Rams. I'm sure do want to see them do that.
Oh yeah, definitely.